Hey, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. And this time around, we got a really hot action figure review coming your way. I don't know if that's going to be the last of the fire puns today. We'll see how I feel. Today, we are taking a look at the brand new Diamond Select action figure of the Human Torch. So what's really cool about this figure is that it is Johnny Storm in that completely flame-on, if you will, version of himself. And we've seen this figure before from all sorts of different people. I don't quite know if Diamond's done it, but I'm pretty sure Marvel Legends has done a figure like this, I'm sure, by now. But to me, this one here really goes above and beyond that whole look, and there's a lot of really cool features here that I think are going to make Fantastic Four collectors very, very excited. So let's just talk about this packaging real quickly here. It is that traditional Diamond Select packaging, and it's enormous. It's really, really frighteningly huge. That's just kind of what they do. We have an enormous open space here, so you can see every single accessory this Human Torch figure comes with, and that is a lot of stuff. There's really nothing blocking anything here in this package. You can see everything you're getting. Really, the only thing that kind of like hinders your view would be where his name is on the front, but it's pretty small. You can see everything in here nice and clearly. That's because also the sides and the top are all open too. On one side of the packaging, you get a picture of this Human Torch toy in action, and there's nothing else really on the other side because it's just still part of that big window display. The back of the box has a picture of the Human Torch figure as well, head to toe, as well as with the base and some of the accessories, and also has a pretty nice bio actually about him that really kind of focuses on what the Human Torch's powers are, which I think really puts context to some of the accessories he has. It also lets us know that this was designed by Eamon O'Donoghue and sculpted by Chris Dahlberg. Now, we've seen Eamon's work before in a lot of stuff. He's been working for a lot of other companies also designing toy packaging too. But this is my first time seeing Chris's work in 3D form in hand. So I'm very excited to see what he's going to do with a character like the Human Torch because, in terms of like sculpting detail, not necessarily a ton to work with when you've got like a flaming character like this. Yeah, there's lots of flames and things like that. But what do you do about the face? What do you do about the outfit? What do you do to make this thing interesting in a tactile kind of way? So that's what we're going to find out here today. So let's go ahead, get our Human Torch out of the packaging, and take a closer look at him from all angles. All right, and here is our Human Torch figure out of the packaging. I don't know how my green screen is going to react to this flaming hot figure here, so apologies if the screen ends up being green, or if there's any weird issues with it. I'm going to do my best here to work around it as much as possible. But let's just jump right into the figure now, and it's pretty impressive looking. I got to admit, seeing it out of the packaging now and like getting a better look at all the details, all the sculpting details especially, I'm actually very impressed by this. So let's talk about the head sculpt first, because that's how I usually like to begin these. And this is one of the things that I was a little bit worried about, in terms of how much detail they're going to put into this kind of figure, how much they can attempt to get in there, especially with this kind of a head too. And I'm very pleased to say that it's got a very nice head sculpt, actually. It's got a fair amount of details in there. It's actually really nice. One of the things that you'd lose out on in some ways is some of the hair detail, but I think the way that the flames on top of his head kind of meld into his hair, that actually is a nice little effect there, so you kind of get the best of both worlds. Otherwise, they kept the sculpting, I think, down to the minimal, like down to the most essential elements of the head sculpt, but it looks really good, though. I still think it looks very nice. So let's move on to the rest of the body here. And, this is what I was talking about in terms of the sculpt and the look. There's a lot going on here. It's not just like a flat, smooth body. That's something I was worried about, especially when I compare it to like Marvel Legends, where there's a lot of times they're just reusing the same whole body and just putting a new paint job on it, and it's kind of lazy. In this case, this is a completely brand new sculpt. I don't think they've used this kind of body before, and I say that especially because this is their new body, which we'll talk about when we get to the articulation. But this has a lot of sculpted detail already on it. You guys can see there's all these different ridges that are on his arms, on his chest, his abs, his legs. Same with his back. There's all these ridges, all these lines, and that's very reminiscent of the original comics. And I think that's a really smart choice here. And it really keeps it grounded to the era that it's meant to be from here, the era that it's meant to represent this action figure's time. So that's really cool. I like that a lot. Like, that's actually one of the things I always liked about the old illustrations from the Fantastic Four comics, was that he had all these lines. That was kind of how we knew he was in flame mode. It's a weird thing. I know it's a weird thing to say, but it's something I always appreciate. So it's very cool to see it now as part of the figure. And I'm also a sucker for transparent and translucent plastic when it comes to toys or statues. Diamond Select always excels at that, and I always talk about how much I love it, especially when they do fire effects. Johnny Storm here is one big effing fire effect, and this works. This looks good. This is a really nice, dark, deep crimson color here that just shows so nicely with light on it, especially like if you had this thing bottom lit or lit from behind in some way, it would look so bright and so glowing, like actual embers of fire. It's a very realistic, good choice of color here. And it's offset too by all these yellows here. The yellows and a little bit of orange blending into it too. Just good choices all around. It really looks awesome here. I love on his feet too. He's even got it, his shoulders especially. Just lots of little flame details, which I really appreciate. Now let's talk about articulation here, and this is one of the new bodies that they're using here, or one of the new styles of body, I should say. And by that I mean, like, they basically have changed this buck here, so that's a really big thing. But otherwise, a lot of stuff is the same. You've got a bowl-jointed head, so you could move him left to right. And it's actually got a lot of articulation here. There's a lot of motion. I feel like you don't normally get this kind of range of motion, but there it is. We have shoulders that can go up and down. We have, let's see, it looks like it is a stiff out of box, very stiff. We have single jointed elbow here. Same thing with the wrists. Wrists can bend and flex and rotate. He's very stiff out of package, but not too bad because there's no paint on him. It's all just plastic, so he is able to bend, and I'm not hearing any like weird snaps that are caused by paint drying into joints. We have the buck here, which I already mentioned, which is very nice movement. But one thing we don't have is a waist. There's no waist on him to move his waist left and right. That's pretty much covered by that chest piece there. Do I like that? I'm iffy on that kind of articulation. I kind of prefer the waist to be moving too. I think in this case, I might be okay to let it slide because, you know, he's not really wearing much of anything else here, so having a cut there might make it look a little funny. I'm going to actually let it slide here just because I think it works for this one figure. Let's check out the legs, and, well, nothing in his way there. I mean, wow, you can get some real serious split action with this Johnny Storm, which is far more flexible than he is in real life, but what an amazing joint here. And that goes up and down, too. We have a single jointed knee and single joint for ankle as well. So a good amount of articulation and surprising flexibility in the legs. Otherwise, it is weird that his waist doesn't move, but I'm okay with it in this case. I don't think it's really a deal breaker for me at all. Now, where this Human Torch figure really stands out is the accessories. I don't even know where to begin this, but let's start with this ginormous base piece here. Look at this flaming beauty right here. This thing is so cool looking. All right, so let's put this part over here and move you over, Johnny. Let's put this here. So this is going to work in tandem with this piece. This enormous piece here, which is going to, you can see it has a little peg here. It should snap into that hole that's on this other piece. All right, there you go. It doesn't really make a snapping noise. I was waiting for it to like make some kind of a snapping noise to make sure it's in there, but no, it's in there all right. It's definitely in there right now. You guys can see it. And this base is already just about as tall as this figure is. And what's really cool about this is that there is a little peg hole here on the back, and you could put Johnny Torch on that. Let's see how easy this goes in. Oh, it's already in, actually. Okay, wow, these things are going in really nice and smooth. So there you guys go. You can now have your Johnny Storm flying in the air. And actually, it's probably, I mean, it's more accurate to have him, I think, in this direction. But, oops, let's see if we can get him. There we go. But there, yeah, that's it. Our Johnny Storm is flying in the air. That's looking really nice. That's looking really cool. I gotta tell you guys, this is very impressive. Like, this base is just gorgeous. Look at all the color in this. And again, there's still no paint. This is all just the plastic itself, and that's what I like about this. Very minimal paint here at all. If there's any, like, there might be some painted detail on the base, but for the most part, this is just a plastic doing its plastic thing, being translucent plastic. But that's not all you get with this figure. I mean, this right here makes the price, I think, worth it because it's an enormous base. But no, there's actually more accessories still. A whole bunch more, in fact. Let's see, where should we start here? Well, let's start by popping off a head because you get a very easy to remove and hopefully easy to put back on spare head. So unfortunately, the head is giving me a little bit of problems here. And a part of that problem too is because he's got all the flames on him. I actually just like nicked my hand a little bit. It's not like, you know, a major injury, but it's worth noting that there's so much sharp stuff here. It's like, it's hard not to get pricked by something. At least the plastic is sturdy enough to hold up to it. But yeah, this head is giving me a little bit of problems. I think it will be easily remedied by a blow dryer. So that's not really the worst thing to happen, but it is a little bit of an annoyance. But you get a second head sculpt, which I think is very cool now seeing it, in fact, on him. And this is just basically him completely flamed up. And this is like that classic style from the 60s as well. And here are the two heads side by side. I think they both look very good. I really like them both a lot. If I had to choose like which one I'd leave on him, I don't even know because they're both so good looking. It's weird saying that about this face because it looks like, you know, he's a Dick Tracy character. It's like, that's prune face on fire. I don't know, but I think it looks really cool this way. So in addition to that, we have 4 more hands. So I'm going to show you guys now, I'm not going to swap on him, is he has a pair of closed fists. You guys don't need to see that. That's not that interesting. What is interesting is 2 different flame effects that he has. So we're going to pop out, yeah, we're going to have that head roll because it's not going back in. Maybe I will actually put back on this other head just because that head is not going on as easily here. That head seems to fit much nicer, so whatever's going on there, I don't know, but that's a thing. All right, so first hand, this one is a fireball hand. That one on nice and smooth. And then this second hand here is a fire finger hand? Yeah, I guess so. Wow, that looks really cool. So you've got fireball here, which looks very nice, fits in real nice, and then these fire fingers on this side. That's some good looking detail right there. Just want to rotate them around so you can see a little bit better. How nice that looks. Like, that is so cool looking. That really is a really, really nice piece there. Good choices here, and worth noting too, we didn't really even mention too much the chest piece here. Even his 4 logo is actually on fire right now. Like, that's a really nice little effect there. And I think that piece comes out also. Let's find out here. Basically, there's this other piece here. I'm not quite sure where it fits. And it looks like it's a very small little thing. I don't think it goes in his back, so I'm going to assume it's meant to go in his chest. But this doesn't want to seem to move, so I'm not really too sure. But basically, there was just this one other little random fire accessory here. Don't know what it does, where it goes, but there it is. If anybody else out there knows what it is, let me know, but it really can't be that important if that's where it is. But yeah, it looks like it's probably meant to go here. Just that piece is staying in there really tight right now. So I wanted to do some figure comparisons here, and I was going to take Johnny off the base, but I gotta tell you, he just looks really good like this, so I'm going to leave him on there. But I will bring in a few other figures, and let's just try a few other diamond figures. And this is the Thanos figure that we reviewed not that long ago. Let's see if we can get him to stand up straight here. I like this figure a lot also. He's a very hefty boy compared to everybody else here, but yeah, that's how he looks. And I also have a Taskmaster figure, which also was reviewed not that long ago on the channel. I like Taskmaster a lot, actually. I think he's like one of these really underrated action figures that came out this last year, and he is absolutely worth getting if you can find him. So, you know, these are larger figures too. When I say that, I'm going to bring in a Marvel Legend to show you guys. These figures, they don't really size up that well with Marvel Legends. They are significantly taller than them, as you can see right here. I mean, do it better, actually. They'll do a side-by-side with Taskmaster. You can see there's a pretty big height difference there, so they don't really fit in too well with the Legends, or for that matter, even G.I. Joe Classified. You know, so they're much bigger than this scale. I think they're like an inch bigger, in fact. So they're not going to match up well with your Legends, but they do look good among other figures from Diamond Select. And I would say also the McFarlane action figures. Case in point here, let's remove him, and let's pop in our Warhammer Ultramarine, which is a huge figure. He's a little bit bigger probably than the normal size figure we'd look at. But McFarlane toys are actually the same scale as a Diamond Select figure, so they will match up very well. And what's nice about that is, since Diamond these days is exclusively only doing Marvel Select figures and Star Wars Select figures and other things like that, but in terms of your comic franchises, they're only doing Marvel. McFarlane has the DC license, so you could have your figures now all lined up, same size, and that's really nice to have. And just for fun, because I always like to put a pro wrestler in these things here, let's try him with an AEW figure from Jazzwares. I think he's actually the same size as Dustin Rhodes here. Because the AEW figures are, I think, a little bit bigger than your typical Mattel. Wrestling figures in general are kind of like a little bit larger. But yeah, you know, I mean, that's how they look. I think they'll fit in actually surprisingly well with your AEW lineup. So if you want to have the Human Torch wrestle Dustin Rhodes, here's your opportunity to do so. So final thoughts here on the Human Torch figure. Very impressive, actually. I'm really, really into this figure. Again, as I mentioned, I am a sucker for anything that's this kind of translucent, transparent plastic. And this is perfect. They went completely overboard with it, and it's great. And Diamond gets guys who really know how to make fire just look big, bold, and realistic, I guess, to a degree, while also being kind of comic booky. And I think that's what they really accomplished here. I mean, between the different fingers that he has, the different fireballs, the fire coming out of his back, the flames all over the head and the rest of the body, there's just a lot of cool flame effects. It all looks very good. And great sculpting too, you know, because I'm talking so much about all the different effects that are here in the plastic and that kind of gimmick. But really, the sculpting too, when it comes down to it, is very, very nicely done. Excellent choices here all around. Now, I know that Marvel Legends has a Fantastic Four series that just came out conveniently, and this figure here of the Human Torch from Diamond also just came out pretty recently. I think Diamond did the Thing many years ago. I don't know about a Mr. Fantastic or a Sue Storm, so I'm not really sure. But I do know that Diamond is kind of planning to go back and do more classic characters in the comic book style, so hopefully that means new versions of the entire Fantastic Four. That'd be really cool to get them all in this style and this look. But really, they're not going to size up well with your Marvel Legends figures. So really, I'd say, you know, don't necessarily mix and match the figures. If you were, probably the only one you can get away with is the Thing, because he's going to be enormous no matter what. Otherwise, you're going to have to basically choose one set or the other, or just be like me and probably end up buying both. But this figure here is 5 stars. I love this thing. The one downside, though, is the fact that the head gave me a little bit of trouble, but I think it just needs to be, pun intended here, heated up a little bit with a hairdryer, and that should make it plop right on with no problems. Since this is, after all, straight out of the box, and you saw how the joints were a little stiff, so I think it's just a little bit of that. And the other thing, too, if anybody knows what this piece is for exactly, feel free to let me know. I'm pretty sure it's a chest piece, and it just needs to be maybe, again, hair-dried a little bit to get it to loosen up. But if anybody else out there knows for sure what it is, let me know. But I definitely recommend this Human Torch. I think you're going to love it if you're buying Diamond Select figures. It just looks really nice on its own. It's going to look even better with a full team around it. So that's our look at the Diamond Select Marvel Select Human Torch action figure. We're going to have Amazon affiliate links, so go ahead, check them out, pick them up from there if you want them. I do recommend this figure wholeheartedly. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today, and we will see you guys next time. Flame on!